Absolutely. So let me ask you, when you talk about how the Western world is reacting, the declaration, consensus declaration, 100% consensus, no footnotes, all that is very good. But Ukraine's foreign ministry in its statement says that not naming Russia is a climb down by the Western world. And do we carry a cross in our heart for that?
Look, insofar as Ukraine, the situation that Ukraine finds itself in, I don't want to put myself in that position. Whenever you are negotiating a document of this kind, where it's not just whether you have a document which is approved, whether you have footnotes or you have interpretative notes, a lot rides on this. Navika ji, this is a deeply divided world, a deeply divided world. And if you can play as you did play, as you, Bharat, played unifier, it's a big achievement. Let me tell you, there is enough in that language which you and I can both agonize on and do some introspection on. If you have something about the rule of law, if you have something about the use of force, doesn't it have any meaning? After all, it's not one country which has used force. A lot of them have used force. I have a book on it. I know. And to say somewhere, and I'm talking about the intermediate, to threaten in nuclear war is not acceptable or not admissible, etc. It has a meaning for many people. Who was the first to use nuclear weapons? I mean, I'm talking about the way the Second World War came to a conclusion. So I think I can fully understand why a particular country would have wanted more forthright to this thing. But the choice between forthright and, sometimes if you strive for something really good and don't get an agreement, then you also have to ask yourself, what is the constraint there? Today, I was very, very much taken in. I'm not only been around long enough, I'm a professional student of diplomacy. I saw a statement from the Chinese expressing satisfaction. One end. I saw the Russians. I saw the Argentinian president give an interview. I saw the Brazilian president in a conversation. I saw the State Department. I had a long chat with the G20 Sherpa of the United States at the president's dinner. Look, if you follow these developments with a reasonable degree of interest and involvement, you'll say it was a difficult task. But I never had any doubts. Not only because of what my conversations with the G20 Sherpa and his team was saying, but I knew at the end of the day, the Prime Minister has not only put his heart and soul into it, but the gravitas. When the Prime Minister of India, what is the operative part of those paras? The final one, I think 13. This is a time for peace.
This is not an era for war.
Not an era for war. Isn't that the first Prime Minister's statement originally? What has been the Indian diplomacy stand? Use the margin of persuasion that diplomacy provides. So I was very clear we would get it. In fact, I maybe shouldn't have had a slightly anxious young officer on my hands who's worked with me. And I said, how's it going? And he said, sir, we're very tenterhooks. I said, subah 3:30 baje tak ho jayega. 3:30, not that I had any information, but all difficult documents which have substantive content. It's not, I can put in a fairy tale there and you put in your own fairy tale. This is going to be read, analyzed by students of international relations and practitioners and the chancelleries everywhere in the world. What did they say on gender? What did they say on terrorism? What did they say on terrorist financing? What did they say on climate finance? Multilateral. Every line is going to be analyzed. You can heave a sigh of relief, and Indian diplomacy can take a bow and express joy at the fact they've pulled it off. And believe me, and I don't say this because I'm a member of the Prime Minister's team, so you might say, fulsome praise for the leader. No, I've been part of many governments, and I became a reasonably senior officer, secretary to government at a young age. This one was very special. The kind of personal monitoring and of detail that the big chief brought on this clearly showed, and that's why I had a level of confidence. I told you also in that this is going to happen.
Mr. Hardeep Puri, what would you say about Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who's abroad at this moment, and who said that China is a country with a vision? He's also said many other things, and he's Priyanka Gandhi Vadra has said, "Inka G20." How do you respond to some of these statements?
I am genuinely, look, I have worked as a young officer, and when this young leader's father was the Prime Minister, Sri Lanka, elsewhere. I'm getting worried now. I think there is an inherent inability to realize that if you fall into a trap, it's a deep trap. That statement you're referring to about Brussels, about China's vision, he was actually extolling the virtues of the Belt and Road Initiative. Navika, I think one of his advisors forgot to tell him that Belt and Road Initiative has turned out to be a debt trap. Now, whether you are talking about advanced economies in Europe, whether you're talking about them or you're talking about developing countries in Asia, Hambantota Port, so many white elephant projects, railway lines in Southeast Asia. I don't want to go into that. He should realize that when countries can't pay back their debt, they are giving away their territory. So I think this fact was either glossed over, or maybe what we've seen doesn't report that. But certainly the way it came out meant that he had no understanding of what the BLR initiative is.
And that we had an...
No, I'm coming. So he said something, but you know, unless we develop a vision of our own, I mean, he's making the statement one day before the G20 is adopting this...
economic corridor.
It is economic corridor which brings together
Asia, Middle East, and Europe.
Middle East, Europe, backed by the United States.